Now then, we're back again for another Vaults of Iacon Back Catalogue. This week, we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers Collection 13 Hot Rod. Yes, that turbo-revving young punk from the 1986 Transformers the movie. It's a bit of a departure from the previous ones. Previous back catalogues have tended to focus on Transformers that were directly ported across from the old Diaclone line, whereas Hot Rod, as we'll get into later on, was a wholly new creation, both for the movie and the toy line. But you don't want to hear about that now. What you want is for me to get on with it, so we'll cue the intro and I will see you over there. And here we have Hot Rod. More specifically, the Transformers Collection number 13, Hot Rod with Firebolt, his Nebulon Target Master partner. But we will talk more of that later. First of all, we're going to take a look around the box, like we always do. So initially, we've got this lovely artwork here. I think Hot Rod's drawn really well in this. Very much based on his toy appearance rather than any animation model, or any kind of representation that you find in any of the comics. I do like it because you've got the protruding wheels and tires here, but you can also see at the back of his head the engine almost forming kind of like a crest around the back there. But yeah, I like that. Do like that. And Firebolt looks a hell of a lot like his toy there, even down to the point where you can see basically just his arms and his fists down the side there. But yeah, like that. When this was released, it was in keeping with the 20th anniversary of the Transformers, so that would have been 2004. Right, side of the box, we just have repeated what we have on the front. To the back, we have the usual breakdown of contents and what's to come. So the box contents for this Transformers Collection 13. We've got a close-up here of Firebolt in his gun and robot mode. We have, because they're getting more releases now, we're up to 13 here, they're having to compress the previous releases. So we've got the text here for the previous releases. The ones prior to 12 and 13 were number 10 Soundwave, number 11 Astro Train, and then the release that came out with this, because they came out in pairs. So release number 12 was a selection of mini-bots. I'm going to be doing a video on those at some point down the road, not just yet, but there are a couple of others that I want to do first before I get to them. And then we have just a breakdown of the paperwork paraphernalia that is contained therein, because like we know, these are book style boxes. Yeah, same there. We've got basically it's just a repeat of what we see on the front there, and the bottom just quite plain. Let's get it opened up, shall we? We've got that Velcro holding the flaps in place. Usual contents page. We've then got the artwork here from now then, is that 86 or is it 87? Oh, now then, that's got me stumped as that. I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to say 86. But I bet it isn't. But it's 87, that ain't it? No, it is. No, it's 86. I'm pretty sure it's 86. If I'm wrong, I will put some text up on the screen to correct myself. I will put my hand up when I'm wrong. But my gut tells me it's 86. The reason being, I can see Metroplex Triptychon, some of the Predacons. I see Broadside there. I can see one. that's breakdown. That's one of the Stunticons, is that. So anyway, and Octane. I'm losing my train of thought there, aren't I? Okay, next page. So this is, with the text being all in Japanese, I'm just surmising. I'm just purely guesswork what it's going to be about. But I'm assuming we've got 13 there, 1986. So I'm assuming that's going to be something about Hot Rod, or at the very least, what was happening within Transformers during that time frame. Catalogue page here. Tell you what. We'll look at the fold-out paperwork here. Fold-out paperwork, the mini poster. Sorry, and that's a mini poster from the Dreamwave comic. I think that's from Volume 2. Is that? Because I don't recollect Cosmos being in Volume 1 of the Dreamwave, and then that's obviously Spike Wiki. But yeah, love it. I do miss the Dreamwave comics. Right, catalogue. We have the. Come on. Who is it now? The Technobots. That's it. The Technobots. Is it Technobots? Yes, it is. It's Technobots. And that's going to be Computron. I'm not even going to try and attempt to name the individual bots because I haven't got a clue, basically. At one time I probably could have named them, but not now. So we'll just leave it. That's Computron, and it's the Technobots. Opposite side of the catalogue page, we have got the Throttlebots. That's it. The Throttlebots. This is a good indicator of how much I prepare or do not prepare for doing these videos. But yeah, we've got the Throttlebots, Goldbug, Freeway, and yeah, is it Spotlight? Yeah, I'm going to leave that at that. That's all I can recollect. And then these are the. Is it the Monster Bots or Horicons or something like that? I think they are. Again, not a clue. I tell you, this is a trust. I did used to know all this, but I suppose because I tend to not really look much past 84 and 85 and partial bits of 86. I forget. I do forget because there's no need for me to remember really. Now this is someone I do know, Thundercracker. So we've got a little data file on Thundercracker here, and that's from the episode Mother Meets the Eye, number 2, I think. Is it? Or is it? Oh no! Or is it Fire in the Sky? Fire on the Mountain, where the Ruby Crystal Caves. I think that's what that is. But I could be wrong. And then over on the side, then with the data file, then goes and talks about his toy. That looks great. I love the 84 Seeker jets, and then the Japanese packaging there. You just imagine getting that at Christmas or a birthday, and you've got it there laid in that polystyrene tray. It's like, oh, awesome stuff. And then we have Metroplex. I never had Metroplex back in the... I mean, I never had Thundercracker back in the day. But I never had Metroplex either. I did get Metroplex many years later when I bought quite a large collection off a local lad that I knew way back when. And Metroplex was in there. It was the first time I'd had any experience of him, and I thought it was nice. It was okay, but I was a bit underwhelmed. My whelm was very much under. I expected it to be more, I suppose, but I think that's probably because I was looking back as an adult through the gaze of a child. But yeah, I had it for a few years, and then it was part of the cull. It just went, and then many years later, when the Encore line came along, I ended up picking it up again, and I was a bit easier on it by then. But yeah, it's nice. But anyway, that's his data file from the cartoon, and then we've got the data file portion of the toy. Yeah, there's in the Japanese box, part of the Scramble City, which Ultra Magnus was also part of when that was released. And then we have the data file now on Hot Rod. Again, this is based on the data file for the cartoon. We've got him here in Transformers the movie. And then over the other side here, we've then got data file for his toy. And there we go, in his Japanese packaging. This is the... Well, I'll get to that because there's going to be... I'm going to give you a bit of an info dump when we get Hot Rod out of the box. Because now we can see... There we go. Look at that. I just love how that's presented. I do like these box-style collections. I love the way that they're presented. And I'm sure I've said it before. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure I've said it in previous videos that I do think it's a real shame that they didn't carry on with these, that they just stopped. But yeah, these things happen. What are you going to do? So yeah, so I think now we'll take the time to get him out of the box, I think. Let's close that up. And to get him out of the box, we are going to need... Oh, it's upside down. The ruler. Of course. Now let's get that in there and flip that open. So it's the same deal as before. I won't bore you with that, going over all ground. We've got the box, and then the figure is inside the plastic tray clam inside, and then cardboard tray. But we'll focus firstly on the contents of this bag. If I can get the bugger open. That's some sticky sellotape. Other brands of adhesive tape are available. Alright, let's get rid of that down there. Out the way. So we've got... I'll start with this. We've got the instruction sheet. Which is there like so. Shows you how to transform, how to and where to apply the stickers, shows you how to transform Firebolt. Now, what's interesting about this is it looks like this transformation sequence here is taken from the original one. Again, I'll make mention of this when I give you the info dump. But if you can see here, is it actually? Oh no, no, this is updated by the looks of it. So, back in the day, the instructions for Hot Rod, when you transformed into robot mode and you transformed the head section, on the instructions it showed you to twist the head the opposite way. So the neck portion was inside. When I come to transform it, I'll go over this again and I'll show you. But it was held by friction on the inside. But it meant that the head was kind of like tilted at an angle as though it was looking down somewhat. But on the toy itself, the actual engineering of it has a tab moulded into it, which means it's better if you twist it round forwards. So then there's a slight overlap from the neck section to the chest. But we'll go over that again when we come to transform Hot Rod himself. So yeah, anyway, those are the instructions. Make note of this here. C110 or C110. So I'm going to get to that in a second. Nothing on the other side. We have the questionnaire mailback pamphlet. We have the collector card, which looks really nice. But I'm biased. I like all these collector cards. I did think at one point of having them mounted or framed, but then I couldn't be bothered. I thought, no, I'll just leave them in the boxes with the figures. If I'd have been of a mind to have the figures out permanently, or even just take them out and then dispose of the boxes, I may have, pursued that kind of thing. But no, it's me. I'm not going to get rid of the boxes. But yes, but on the collector card here, we've got C110 as well, 110. We're going to come back to that. Opposite side, we've got his tech specs. Now, interestingly enough, what I will point out at this point as well is the tech specs here are actually for the Target Master Hot Rod. not the actual original issue, because I think the original issue of Hot Rod, his score came to 54, but his Target Master version comes to 50. So he's a little less powerful as a Target Master than what he is when he's not, which is interesting because the point of Target Masters and Headmasters was supposed to enhance the performance of the Transformers. But anyway, that's the collector's card. And then we have the sticker sheet, which is partially used. Now, this is partially used. Again, I'm going to get to that. I'm just looking at my notes. Yes, that's going to come in the info dump. So I'll bring these two out here, but these two stickers that are left on the sheet would normally go on the thighs. Aye. And then note here the number C78. C78 is the original number. I'll get to that shortly. Let's get Hot Rod out of the clamp. So we'll just lift it all out. Usual deal, that can fold over and become a plinth. Let's take him out of this tray. Let's get everything out. No, come on, it's fighting me. You don't want to go back down. Come on, go down there. That's it. Splendid. We'll take a look at the accessories first. We'll look at the guns first. So first up we've got his two blasters. Now, do they have a specific name, these blasters? Let me just take another look at the box here. No, they're just called photon lasers. And one's a slight bit bigger than the other, which, I'll be honest, when I was a kid, bugged the hell out of me. I always seemed to prefer, as a kid, that one, the smaller one, for some reason. But then now as an adult, I actually prefer that one. Curious that, isn't it? How our opinions shift over time. But anyway, yes, he has two photon pistols. And then we have the Target Master Firebolt, which is absolutely awesome. With a little hint of sarcasm there. No, as a kid, I never had Target Master Hot Rod, but as a kid, I would have loved him. I didn't have the Headmasters either, but I was to be fair, when the Headmasters and the Target Masters came along, I was dropping off the whole toy thing. I admired them and I thought they looked cool, and part of me wanted them, but I was at that age where it was like, no, got to grow up now and do older teenager kind of things. Was I? I was a teenager at that point. Wasn't I? I'm forgetting how old I am now. Anyway, that's Firebolt. Quite embarrassed, hence the red face. Oh, dad jokes abound. And now, the main deal, what we're here to talk about. Hot Rod. But before we do speak about Hot Rod, we are going to give you an
info dump.
I figured it would probably best to do it as kind of like a pausing section with in the video, so that I can get all the information out of the way, and then we can just go in then and focus on the actual figure. Hot Rod saw his initial release in 1986 as part of the new lineup of characters for Transformers the movie. He would see another release in 1987 as part of the Target Master range of toys with his Nebulon partner, Firebolt. There we go. Interesting about Hot Rod is it was one of the first toys designed specifically for the Transformers toy line, as opposed to being an imported pre-existing toy from either a Diaclone or wherever. Contrary to the common design process for Transformer toys, he was created for animation first, then had his toy created based on Floro Deri's design afterwards by Takashi Kunihiro. I'm sure I have absolutely butchered the pronunciation of that, but yeah, so basically what that means is that Hot Rod, as a character and as a toy, the animation model was designed first, and then they went, here, can you make a toy out of that? Make it the toy look as close as you can. The original toy was actually cast in magenta, like a magenta shade of plastic, to match his animation model. But this was changed to the less animation accurate red before release. The assumption is, I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed, but the rumor is that this was a result of marketing concerns by Hasbro executives, because the thing about will the pink hot rod sell with boys and that. The Transformers collection reissue, which this is, that was released in 2004 on the 20th anniversary of the Transformers franchise, and it came so as we know, because we've just gone through them, he comes with all his accessories from both his initial 86 debut, which came with these photon lasers, and then his Target Master release the following year with Firebolt. Now, with it being the case of his being presented here in the reissue with both weapons, it means that the hands on this can hold them all. The 86 version of Hot Rod did have... Can we see them from underneath? I'll make a point of pointing them out when I get him in robot mode. But the peg holes in his hands were smaller. If I bring it in close, you may be able to see that as the handle here steps out. So this top or bottom portion, whichever way up you hold it, that was the original size of the peg holes, and then the widening here to denote the increased peg holes, so it will accommodate Firebolt when he's in his weapon mode. Another change for this reissue from the original is the bonnet section here and the side section here. These are now tampografs rather than stickers, and with it going to a tampograph, they are slightly different and there's been a slight colour change on them, but at a glance they do look pretty much the same. Stickers, and yeah, I need to bring these in. Right, so now when we get to transform him and you get in the robot mode, you'll note that I haven't applied these thigh stickers. That's basically because the clearance when you pull the legs down for robot mode, the clearance on them is virtually non-existent. So what would happen is, and I noted this on my original Hot Rod back in the day, it would scuff away and end up peeling away the stickers on the thighs. So I haven't applied them here on the reissue. If I was to have them, say, constantly displayed in robot mode without bothering transformation, yes, I would put them on. But no, because these books are reissues, I keep taking them out from time to time and doing photos on them. So that's why I never bothered with putting those on. Now then, the number thing. So this reissue set, this Transformers collection, has on here, this is the Japanese tech spec ID number C110. Now, this was created for this reissue specifically because Target Master Hot Rod never had a release in Japan. Now, this is in contrast to the C78 on the sticker sheet, which is the original tech spec ID number for Hot Rod's original Japanese release. So that's why we've got the disparity in the numbers here, because basically they had to create a number for him for this set. They didn't want to reuse the 78 because that was for his initial release. I'm repeating myself, you get the idea. So I can pop that away now, remove the accessories away, because we're going to start now talking about the vehicle and the vehicle mode. The last bit of information I will give you, though, which ties in very well because we are discussing the vehicle mode. Now, there's been much debate over the years as to the real-world inspiration for Hot Rod's vehicle mode, but it's generally accepted that the main contender is the Domu Zero prototype from 1978, Now, domu is a Japanese word, and apparently in Japanese it means child's dream. Now, sadly, due to regulatory bodies, the car was never approved for sale in either Japan or overseas, and thus never entered production. Now, it's at this point, I'm sure you'll all have noticed, I will have put pictures up of this Domu Zero prototype. It's an exceptional looking car, and yeah, I'd have one. I'd have one every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Now, a year later, in 1979, the Domu released the Zero P2, which was a revised prototype of the original to take into account certain regulations and rules that were imposed by, because they wanted to sell it overseas and mainly into America. So there were some additions on there to make it road legal for America. However, unfortunately, as with the original, it didn't happen. It never entered production, and we never saw it. So you had the P1 and the P2 literally just as prototypes. There may be, I don't know how many prototypes there will be. I would assume there probably be a fair few of them, but none of them saw the light of day in actual owners' hands or got out onto the main roads, which, like I say, is a shame. Right, okay, that's the end of your info dump. We're now going to get onto the vehicle mode for Hot Rod. And yeah, it lives up to his name. It really does look like a Hot Rod. I will mention again, I did have Hot Rod as a kid back in '86, and I loved it. I thought it was a great transformer. It was a great looking car. It was pretty much identical to this. It was in the red plastic. As I mentioned, these were stickers back on the original and on the bonnet. But other than that, it's pretty much identical. It's pretty much the same. Lots of lovely chrome here for the exhaust pipe works. Chrome for the engine block that's on show there. It's got plastic orange headlights at the front. Plastic big tail fin here. Blue translucent on the windows. This section is cast in blue translucent plastic, and it is painted. And to be fair, if I look around, yeah, see, other than the actual face sculpt, this is the only paint. Oh, and obviously, I must note, whenever I say, there's no paintwork or there is paintwork, blah blah, I tend to discount the chroming. I don't class that as paintwork. So just in case, people are shouting at the at YouTube saying, "Oh, yeah, the exhausts are painted." Yeah, they're chromed. But I get how it could be confusing. Probably more confusing for me actually. But anyway, so yeah, that's painted, and the face sculpt is painted. But we'll look more at that when we get them into robot mode. So yeah, great thing. Diecast content. Yeah, you're having a laugh, aren't you? On this one, on the reissue, I'll just flip them out. The only diecast content you've got is the feet. The initial releases in the US and UK, I think there was a few that had diecast feet, but then the rest of them had plastic. I'm pretty sure the Target Master Hot Rod came with plastic feet. It didn't have diecast. Yeah, that's it. There's plastic wheels, but not chromed. And then we've still got the rubber tyres, thankfully. And looking round, yeah, it's a great car mode. Love it. But with it being all plastic, it's very light. It feels it does feel cheap. I've got to be honest with you, it does feel cheap. It doesn't have that premium feel like what the Autobot cars that were transposed from the Diaclone line. I think that's because it just doesn't have the paint application or diecast content in it, which is what makes it feel a little bit cheaper. Underneath the car, we have got pretty much, you can just see all the components that make the robot mode. So the lower legs, the feet, arms, and the face. So, before we do the brumming test, let's bring in Firebolt. And we're going to pop in because in car mode, vehicle mode, Firebolt can fit in the engine block like so. So then when you're driving around, you can shoot those pesky Decepticons. You know, you get the idea. You get the idea. We'll take Firebolt out there now. Popping over to one side. The all-important Brum test. I think he's gonna brum quite well. Let's give it a go, shall we? Oh, Hot Rod must have the ABS there. He has. One more. Oh. Yep, you'll do for me, Hot Rod. With no accidents there or harsh braking. Now, it would be at this point that I would bring in Gary, but I'm not going to be bringing in Gary. I'm going to be bringing in... Guess who's back? Jeff. Hey, we've got Jeff back. How's it feel to be back, Jeff? We'll just bring the ruler in so we can stand him up. The reason why I'm going to bring the ruler in and stand him up is because... I'm sorry, Jeff, but we don't need you today. You're back and we don't need you because Hot Rod cannot fit a Dianaut into him. There's nowhere for a Dianaut to sit because the cockpit section here does not open up, and even if it did, the moulding inside there is so small, flat and limited that he wouldn't. You just wouldn't fit in, Jeff. I'm sorry. It's it's a cruel world, but that's it. Well, at least you're back, and at least you've been able to come on and say hello to the people out there. So with that, I think you need to come on. You need to sling your hook. So off we go. Maybe next time, Jeff. Maybe next time. Oh dear. It's so sad, isn't it? Right, okay. I think we should transform Hot Rod now, don't you? Whew, where to start? Right, I'm going to start by bringing the legs down because the tabs on these are quite keen. There we go. Now, before I go any further, what I will make a note of is when they were designing Hot Rod, they actually designed him to have longer legs. Now, it wasn't a case of they've chopped any plastic off or anything. It's not that. What it is that the thigh sections here and the lower legs here, in the moulding, they inserted an extra tab inside the lower leg here, which only allowed these lower sections to come down so far. But originally, the lower part here was supposed to come down probably about another 5 mil further, and it would show you actually on the upper legs here, they actually do have moulded knees, like knee sculpting, and they will come a bit further down. Now, I've had a look, and I cannot really find any reason as to why they changed that. It's so who knows? If anyone out there does know that's watching, please feel free to make note in the comments. So we all know. But yeah, so you can't see his knees because of these extra tabs. So that's as far as they come down. People have modified it, and if you go on YouTube, there are tutorial videos that shows you how to modify it so they can come further down and look like I'm assuming he was originally intended to look. However, when you do that, I'll continue the transformation sequence while I'm telling you this because it's relevant. When you get... Actually, I'll just leave it at that. So it basically means that with the longer legs, the arms look out of proportion. So it kind of knocks the proportions out of whack. So my logic would think when they got at that point in the design stage, when they noticed that maybe the arms looked a bit too short for the length of legs, maybe that's then when they went back and redesigned and had them only come down so far. Anyway, that's what I surmise. So we turn the arms around like that, so they're facing forward. We rotate the waist section like so, because that's going to be to allow the chest section to tab in. Now what I'll do is I said I'd re-reference this. So on the original instructions, when you get to this point, it shows you to turn the head round this way, and by friction it holds in. Sorry, by friction, there you go, it holds in like so. and then you bring that down, and then it looks like that. Now that's how... Oh, I brought his feet out. Let's bring his feet out. So it looks like that, but then when you do look at it at this angle, you can see that the head is slightly pointing down. But that is how the original transformation was intended to go. Now again, I think probably at some stage when they were finalising before release, they decided to remould the head section. If I bring it out now, and I can show you, you can see a moulded tab in here. So that was done so you can bring it out this way. Hopefully you heard that click there as it tabs in there. Bring that around. So then now this next section overlaps, breaking up the lines somewhat, but it means that the head now is more vertical and it looks out at a horizontal gaze rather than gazing downwards like that. So it does actually look better like that, you know, because he's not looking like he's looking on the ground, you know, he's lost his car keys on the ground or something. So it does look good from that point of view. But I'll admit, when I was a kid, I did used to transform him the other way around because that's how it showed you it on the instructions. But I also do recall, I think I've got some photos. No, I haven't. No, I've got some photos. No, that was from much later on. But I do recall later on, I did then start doing it this way. And I think it must have been because of the downward glancing thing. So I kind of came around to it in a natural evolutionary way, if you will. But I'm assuming that this alteration was done at a point that it was too late to alter the instruction sheets, you know, the instructions, because I'm assuming they were probably already went off the clearance and then printed off, etc., and things like that. So it was obviously too late. Right, okay, so now we have Hot Rod in his robot mode, and it's a great looking robot mode. I do like it, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I wouldn't have it if I didn't like it. I mean, even the Transformers that I'm not over keen on, that I do have, there's still part of me that does like them. And you know, what's the point of buying something you don't like? You know, anyway. So robot mode, yes. Love the orange hands contrasting with the red of the rest of the body, as with the legs as well. We've got sticker here for the waist section. We've got stickers down here on the lower legs. We've got stickers here up on the shoulders. And just turn him around. We've got the rub sign, which I didn't mention in robot mode, but I'll mention it now. Very plain on the back, nothing going on there. I think it would have been nice to have maybe some stickers here, just for some kind of circuitry or robotic detailing or something, you know, just to break the back area up a bit. And then whip him back around again and back to the front. But yeah, it does look like a hot rod. He looks this kind of, you know, well, as Cup calls him, a turbo revving young punk, you know, he's with the flames going off on the chest area. And then we bring it in a bit closer, take a look at the face sculpt. It's like glossy grey paint for the face, and then this nice striking blue for the eyes. And just turn around, we can see that engine block there on the back of the head. But yeah. And, sorry, yeah, mentioned the die-cast feet. These die-cast toes. Articulation. I'm sorry, I have to. I keep laughing every time I think about articulation in G1 Transformer figures. As we know, for the most part, it ain't happening. But again, Hot Rod, much like Hoist from last week, does actually have some articulation that isn't relevant to transformation. And like Hoist, it's in the elbows. So your elbows will bend to a 90-degree angle and get you to there. There is some very slight rotation on the wrist, but it doesn't go anywhere because the guns, his blaster guns that form from his exhausts, stop it from rotating. There is a swivel just here above the elbow, but again, that's part of the transformation sequence. It's not really independent articulation. And also the arms will kind of bend in slightly and, well, would bend out. All right, yeah, they do bend out very much slightly, but the spoiler stops it. But again, it's not an independent articulation feature. It is just part of the transformation. Right, we'll bring the weapons back in. So if we go for his 1986 mode, we can put his guns in each arm, like so. In each hand, sorry. There we go. We have the Autobot Cavalier, which is how he was described on the US and UK packaging with his twin guns. And it always, I won't say always amazed me or always confused me, but I did sometimes wonder why he had these photon laser pistols, whatever you want to call them, when he does already have built-in weapons here on the sides of his forearms that we see him shoot with in Transformers the movie. In fact, I'm just trying to recall, does he actually use his gun in Transformers the movie? I'm not sure if he does. I'll have to go back and watch it again. I know that, or at least I'm pretty sure that, I'm 99% sure that there's in the scene where they're on they're still at Autobot City and the Decepticons are leaving when they're boarding Astro Train. There's a scene where RC's shooting. There's RC and Cup. RC's shooting at them, and I'm pretty sure the gun that RC is using to shoot looks like that one there. Pretty sure, but again, I could be wrong. I mean, I've seen the Transformers the movie countless times, but it has been. I think it's probably been about 2 years since I last watched it. So I think I'm due for another viewing of that. But anyway, that's Hot Rod, the Autobot Cavalier, with his guns in both hands. We'll take those out because now we are going to bring in Firebolt. We'll just pop him there next to him for a little bit of a size comparison. I'm going to bring back Jeff because I want to just pop him in there as well, just to see how we get on size-wise, comparing all three together. So we've got now. I've said in previous videos that I thought that Jeff was a good scale for the Autobot cars that I've looked at up till this point. And that still holds true. I still believe that. I still think that's the case. However, sorry, that's just bugging me a little bit that his arm went straight. We're getting an attack of the tisms there. But in this case, come on, Jeff. Come on, get a grip, will you, sir? Pull yourself together. Yeah, in this case, I'm not sure. I don't think it works. Basically because the Nebulons that become the Headmasters and the Target Masters are human size, or comparative to human size. Whereas as you can see here, Firebolt is much bigger than Jeff, the diminutive Dinonaut here. So I think when it comes to scaling here, for Hot Rod, Firebolt, and Jeff, all bets are off. It ain't happening. So, thanks, Jeff. But back down here you go. So, but without Jeff there, and with Firebolt and Hot Rod side by side, that does work. Now, Firebolt, we'll take a look around him. He doesn't have an Autobot symbol on him. Now, I do have some. I might put one on him. I do have some really small ones that I could get on there. As per other Target Masters that came out in 87 with the other Autobots and Decepticons, no articulation whatsoever, other than the fact that, oh, what have I lost? I've lost my keys on the floor again. Where are they? No, it's just part of the transformation. And detailing wise, it's very, very basic. We have got feet. We have got legs. We've got some slight detail on the sides of the legs here and there. We've got detailing around here on the chest area and the shoulders. we've got some. I mean, there is detailing. There is a face sculpt there, but you can't really see it that well because of the red paint. And then there's some detailing, slight detail on the helmet. There's no finger detail or anything like that. And then round the back, it's just the gun barrels, really. And Firebolt transforms by basically just bending him over, like so. And that's his gun mode, which, as an adult, being taking off the nostalgia glasses and being objective about it, it is a bit naff. However, young me would have played the shit out of this. Really, really would. And yeah, I'd have loved that. I would have loved that. And because he would have loved that, I also love it. How could you not? So, let us put Firebolt into Hot Rod's hand, like so. Because Hot Rod is right-handed. There's no left hookers here, you know. All righties, no lefties. And there we go. We've got Hot Rod ready to go into action with Firebolt, doing a bit of pew-pewing, yeah? Pew-pew-pew, like so. It looks great. I do like it. Hot Rod does have his detractors, mainly because of the events that occur in the 1986 movie, which... You're all wrong. I don't mind saying it. You're all wrong. Hot Rod did not kill Optimus Prime or get Optimus Prime killed. Optimus Prime got Optimus Prime killed. He hesitated. He shouldn't have hesitated. I mean, come on. How long has he known Megatron? He knows Megatron is a bit sneaky. Do you know what I mean? It was like, no, it's your own fault, Prime. You should have been a bit more ruthless. But no, you wussed out. Hot Rod being there was just incidental. Anyway, I think with that, there isn't really much more to say. So, what we will do now is, we will have Hot Rod here, and we will bring back in the box. We will bring back in the tray and the inner plastic clamps. We talked about the instructions, and we also briefly mentioned the mail-away questionnaire. We spoke of the sticker sheet. We spoke of the collector's card. He's already got Firebolt, his gun accessory in his hand, but we also spoke about his 2 photon laser accessories. I'll pop them there. And that is the Transformers Collection, number 13, Hot Rod and Firebolt. And with that, we shall hand back over to me.
Not bad for an old-timer!
And that's it. We're done. That was the Transformers Collection, number 13, Hot Rod with Firebolt. With not wanting to sound too repetitive, I do like him. I always have liked Hot Rod as a character and as the toy. Like I said, it was one that I had as a kid. I didn't have many Transformers from the 1986 toy line or from the movie either. I had Hot Rod, I had Springer, Ultra Magnus. I think that was it for the Autobots side. Yeah, it was, yeah. And then Decepticon wise, I just had Galvatron, Cyclonus and Scourge. So that was it really for the 86 and stroke movie Transformers that I had. And they did get played with, but because it was on that borderline of the point where I started laying toys down and moving away from them, they probably didn't get played with as much as what, say, people a couple of years younger than me would have played with them. And I would think that maybe those kids who were a couple of years younger than me will have more fonder memories of those figures than what I do. I mean, I have fond memories of them, but I think because I didn't have the longevity there with them. I mean, I didn't have the longevity with Transformers full stop. I literally had 2 years, probably 18 months maybe. So it wasn't really a toy line that I grew up with like some of the other people that I know that are also fellow fans of Transformers. But, you know, what are you going to do? At least I had time with them, and I was able to experience them when they came out. So, yeah, I don't think there's really anything more I want to add than to what I've already said anyway. There will be another back catalogue coming next week. I've yet to decide who that's going to be. I literally, and I'm not lying here, I literally decide minutes before I start recording. I go over to my 2 big storage tubs that I have my reissues in, and I literally sit there and I think, right, what can I look at this week? And that's literally my thinking process over the whole thing. It's not as planned out as you think it is. A lot of it is winged. I do make notes for when I do the info dump, because I mean it's stuff that I know, but knowing what I'm like, I would forget to mention probably 90% of the stuff that I do mention. So anyway, I am big with the waffle at the moment, aren't I? I will shut up and I will thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. And if you like it, or if you've liked it, or if you continue to like it, do that usual thing that people ask you to do. And yeah, I will see you next week. So until then, thank you again, take care, and bye for now.
Volt's a fucking icon.